Alright, gonna be doing a few response videos, unfortunately. Went to this Apropos of Wet Snow guy. Probably Piro. And then conference report made kind of an annoying video. Did a walk and talk to Nick earlier because his video was kind of annoying too. So everybody's being a little bit annoying lately. Yeah. It's in the dock.
Hey, I'm gonna dip into this antinatalism debate.
Dip.
Forgive me if I repeat things that have been said already, but there's a million videos and I've definitely not been keeping up to the point where I know them all. Still in France right now, Annecy, the Venice of the Alps, they say, because of...
Yeah, this part's a little bit, whatever, who cares, blah, 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 let's go.
Can't see it, but that is a river in the middle of the city.
Cool.
A canal.
Super.
It's really beautiful. Anyway, for me the point is kind of moot until we solve bigger issues about meaningfulness and which experience.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, so the most important question about like whether life does work or whether it is something or whether it's something more than just its biology, evolution of a DNA molecule. Oh yeah, that's a moot point because there's some other question we got to answer first, like whether Teflon's a good idea. I mean, come on, this is just such a crock of shit.
Experiences are in fact experiences of suffering and which are in fact experiences of pleasure.
Oh yeah, we're all terribly confused over that one too. I mean, this fake confusion crap is just such bullshit. We know why this question hasn't been answered hundreds of years ago or even thousands of years ago. It's because they came up with a fake answer and said God done it. Alright, so now we know that God done it is bullshit. You have to be a fucking goddamn functional retard not to see that jig is up. And so yeah, you look at the world and you say, what the fuck is this accomplishing? It's a DNA molecule infesting the crust of a planet. Yeah, it created an atmosphere out of its own shit. Then it learned how to live in its own shit. Then it ate all of its own ancestors. It evolves over 4 billion years into this animated psychological nutcase that's still doing the same thing. It's consuming, reproducing, cannibalizing, and now through this new mechanism of attraction, of desire, of I need, in a felt sense of need. So instead of the need just being filled in a mechanical way by little microbes, yeah, now we're doing it first by feeling the need and then acting on the need to satisfy the need, and the need is sort of indirect to the actual functional need. Like we need to have sex, and the catch is you end up with a baby. Yeah, so even the nature's gaming us through this mechanism. But what about that is all fucking so spectacular?
Until we figure that out, there's really no answering this question of, are we imposing life on people or gifting it to them, bequeathing it to them?
Well, that question can be answered by just without answering any other questions, by just simply rationally defining the word gift. If you have a rational definition of the word gift, you know that giving somebody something that might explode, okay, and blow their face off, literally, wouldn't be called a gift, okay? That would be called assigning a risk on them. That would be an imposition. Alright, gifts are things people want, they desire, they suit their purpose, they have all beneficial use and functionality. If they come with a liability, they're not a gift. Or a catch. Or an exploding function. If it comes with an exploding function, it's not a fucking gift.
Seems like there's this debate between, what are we really doing when we're giving birth? Is it, imposing this shit or... giving people some...
Yeah, whatever. Like I said, there is no confusion. If you just rationally deal with the word gift, it's obvious. If you rationally define the word imposition, it's obvious. So there's no complication here. The only thing that needs to be resolved is whether people have a right, okay, to do their little happy experiments on these victims without asking their permission. and whether they have any way to, whether they need to buy some insurance, in a sense, some protection against. And so all we're really arguing about is how many victims is it okay for you to create? How bad does World War II have to be before you say it's too bad? We can't afford to do that. If that's the price of life, the price is too high. So you tell me, how many millions have to die in World War III for you to say life was a waste? Humans have wasted it.
Something different. And for me, until that is solved, I really have no freaking idea. And it kind of requires an understanding of a standard of values or work.
Oh, whatever. So you can't imagine that if you were born, because your parents made a decision, like, okay, they have some functional disability, they'll die before they're 35, they'll get tumors before then, they'll blah, blah, blah. They knew all of that, they had you anyway, they imposed it on you. You wouldn't be able to figure out that, you know what, that's just plain unethical.
That I don't think anybody has solved at all.
Whatever.
Even in my own self, I'm constantly shifting between, experiences of contentness and experiences of, okay, I need to fucking move on.
Yeah, so that's how you do philosophy. You just shift around and think this today and you think that tomorrow, and you have no logical continuity, and yet you make videos. Why do you do that? I mean, I really don't understand it. If I didn't understand what the fuck I'm talking about, I wouldn't make videos sounding like I know what I'm talking about. I wouldn't make videos with absolutist statements like, well, it's a moot point, and it's irrelevant, it doesn't mean anything, because we first got to answer this, and we got to do this, and we got to do that. So you have all these suggestions to make, and yet you're conceding you have no philosophical ground to stand on. You are as wishy-washy and as wind-blowy as they come. You don't have anything figured out whatsoever, and yet you're preaching on the internet. Brilliant.
I get out of here in my own self. I'll shut off certain parts of my brain when I'm experiencing pain to make it more tolerable. And all of a sudden, what I found, insufferable before becomes something quite sufferable. So.
Oh, okay. So what? I can give you a plate of shit, an actual plate of shit, and you can eat it because you have a super brain now, and you can just turn off your brain and you could eat shit. Can I offer you a few $1,000 prize to do that? 1 pound of human shit on a plate. I'll give you $1,000 to turn your little brain off and eat it.
It's the exact same experience, I'm doing a bike trip right now, and, it gets hard on the road going 70, 80, 90 kilometers a day. And you're going up that hill, and you're telling yourself, just give up, just give up. This sucks. I'm suffering.
Oh, again, yeah, just belittle suffering. Suffering now is because you're a little tired on your little bicycle. That's suffering. I mean, this is just such a goddamn trite bullshit to be thrown at people. Right now, somebody's getting diagnosed with terminal fucking cancer, asshole. That's suffering, okay? They're not going on some little joyride in fucking France on who knows whose money. Fuck you. Fuck you.
But then something in your brain clicks, some momentum or some inspiration clicks.
Oh yeah, you realize that if you stop pedaling, guess what? You're not going to get there. You're not going to get to your destination. And you might even say, well, I can go one more pump, so I'll go one more pump. Little train that could. Yeah, we all done that. What the fuck does that have to do with whether life has any purpose or not? The fact that you can find some reason, to swim another stroke versus drowning or something, is really kind of, it just doesn't have anything to do with a philosophical conversation about the meaning of substance of what we are doing here, what we are engaged in as little conscious consumers on this planet, asshole. Not one fucking good thing. It's just a useless, trite, silly metaphor of no value.
And it's all right again. So, when there's this kind of ambiguity between what's going on in these present moments as adults, who's to say that...
Oh yeah, well guess what? I don't have any ambiguity. I know flat out, plain out, Straight out. I don't want to fucking be born in Indonesia. I know it as a goddamn motherfucking as I know anything else to be true in this universe. I know that I do not fucking goddamn want. There is no fucking ambiguity, asshole. None whatsoever.
Any given present moment ever that anybody experiences is either good or bad.
No, it does not. That makes a whole lot of sense. So yeah. So when your liver's failing and your body bloats and you have an incredible headache and you can't eat, you might be having a good time. You just won't know. You won't be able to figure it out. It'll be so ambiguous. People are just so full of shit.
And I think it touches on this bigger philosophical point that's been debated about, whether you can even call something like a bad, painful moment something evil. There's something so...
Oh, can't we just stay with a word like good and bad? Do we really have to play with the word evil? I mean, I'm okay with evil. I'll call smallpox evil. It's okay with me, but you really don't need to use that language, do you?
Subjective about any experience ever, that it's hard to really label something good or bad in an objective manner, in the universal cosmic manner, separate from human beings. So,
oh, whatever. Separate from human meaning. You mean separate from individual interpretation? So there might be somebody who would enjoy it if somebody drove their car over their foot. There could be. And no, it would be nobody rational. Nobody built like a human being. They have to be built like something else. So this is all just a crock of shit. I mean, even if somebody enjoyed pain, the fact that they enjoyed pain would mean it wasn't pain anymore. And so there would have to be something they didn't enjoy, or else they would be like a psychotic addict, and they'd just be constantly, they would only last for like a few moments of life. They'd be like a mosquito, because they just keep, consuming the negative that they're considering a positive if there was no inverse negative. So that can't happen. So they still have something from their perspective that is something good or bad, a pleasant experience, an unpleasant experience. I mean, this is just so stupid that we have to go through all this. We have to go to these lengths to qualify fucking words, because you people just want to play a game and change the meaning of words. So now meaning doesn't mean desire anymore. We make something meaningful because we desire it. No, meaning has some other connected meaning.
I mean, until any of that is solved, this antinatalism debate doesn't really make sense to me. And besides...
Well, I don't think much makes sense to you but your own selfish bullshit. So what the fuck?
It's that. I mean, for the moment, okay, just to, dip in and make an official stance, not be too in the clouds here, I would probably have to call myself an antinatalist, because I'm...
No, you wouldn't. See, you didn't even take enough care to understand what antinatalism is. It isn't about reducing human population. That's called I'm for, I'm against population growth. You use some other terminology. Antinatalism is you're against the production of a child. Okay? It's a crime to make the child. It's not how many you do. It's like being against pedophilia or something. You're against all pedophilia. Okay? Not just the right amount of pedophilia. No, all of it. It's never ethical.
I'm definitely a person who thinks that the ends justify the means to a certain extent. I mean, if we're...
Yeah, well, those kind of phrases don't mean much, do they? I mean, because you turn around the other way, means justify the ends, ends justify the means, or means are justified by the ends. But yeah, I mean, it really depends on how long your ends scope is, doesn't it? It depends on how you're measuring the end. What is the end exactly? What are the ends? Is it 4 billion years of life evolving?
We're pumping out babies by the billions at this exponential rate. there's going to be an end. You know, I'm smart enough to understand that the world is a finite thing. You know, we've got a certain amount of resources.
Right. Well, this doesn't have anything to do with antinatalism, so I'm going to move forward. Okay. Antinatalism is about the fact that even in perfect circumstances, it's quite possible for a human being to say it's a futile, stupid life, and you really had no right to impose that risk that somebody would draw that conclusion. That's the negative here. You're taking people out of a harmless circumstance, a fail-safe circumstance, and you're basically saying the fun of the roller coaster is worth the risk of the roller coaster. And you're saying because you believe it, for no good reason whatsoever, you're going to tie somebody into the roller coaster. You're going to force somebody who doesn't agree with you, eventually and inevitably, you're going to force them to ride the roller coaster because you have some unexplained, unarticulated perception that there's some reason to do that. That it's good for them, in spite of the fact that they protest and say, no, I didn't find it good for me.
We don't cap that. We don't tell people no. We're just going to die out like any other species that over eats or over consumes. It's simple math.
Right. So you're an anti-overconsumptionist or an anti-overpopulationist, but you're not an anti-natalist.
Mathematics. Basic mathematics. So it countries.
Yeah, and there's basic mathematics behind antinatalism again. You aren't in a deprivated state when you don't exist. You don't need anything, you don't want for anything. Okay? And all you can do by being existing, you can't improve on that state. Okay? Being without a deprivation is essentially a utopia. And you don't improve that utopia by creating an addiction, a phony fake chase. Especially when it comes at the risk of harsh and heavy dissatisfaction and discomfort. So you don't take things from fail-safe and unnecessary. You can't go anywhere. Once you're at fail-safe and there's no necessity to change it, you're done. So non-existence is completion.
Like China are doing, yeah, I'm all for it. And any value-based argument against that, I feel, has its roots in some kind of Western individualism that is basically a system of thought that hasn't tied up its own loose ends. You know, we're so used to bathing in the kind of luxury that we enjoy due to technology. And so,
well, let's be clear that, apparently the Asians have just as much problem with their individualism because they have to pass a draconian law to get people to do anything in the social interest. So it's not that big a difference.
Science, which we've invented for ourselves, and which is the basis of these comfortable lives we live, that we basically have built up this kind of like understanding of the world and the way things should be.
I mean, do you really think, like the Western heathens, do you really think that if they had free elections in China that the majority of the people would vote for restrictions on birth numbers? Yeah, I don't think so either.
You know, this morality that is contingent, it's conditional on the natural resources being there. So I think a lot of these arguments we have for ourselves and that we imbibe at an early age, that we sort of...
You mean be fruitful and multiply? Yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, we have a lot of bad tradition, a lot of bad notions about what it is we're doing on this stupid fucking planet. And those get in the way of people being just basically practical and realizing that, yeah, we all can't have everything. That's right. Yeah, we all can't win. Somebody's got to lose.
We watch on TV all the time, these basic aphorisms and stories and storybook tales that we learn from a young age. They're basically these things that we have the luxury of enjoying. And without some of the basic necessities, some of the necessary material conditions, none of this would be going on. We would still be enslaving each other, and we'd still be in a very barbaric state. So,
well, we would argue that we still are in a barbaric state. Okay, we still haven't grown out of any of that stuff. George Bush did get elected the second time. We basically voted for the slave state.
You know, what are the conditions that we must maintain in order to have something like society, in order to have a race? Well, one of them is a stable population. Basic Malthusian dilemma.
Right, again, so, you know, I don't know, you subject your video antinatalism, and you're really not talking about antinatalism.
So yeah, I'm all for antinatalism. But at the same time, it's possible to play around with kind of rights-based theories like Professor Anton's been playing around with. And this is exactly what I'm learning in law. You know, these aren't just metaphysical questions, abstract, head in the clouds type questions. These are things that people actually have to deal with in the real world. You know, does a fetus have any rights before it's born? You know,
Or does it have any rights before it's a fetus? Yeah.
Basically this thing. And in the courts, at least in my country, we've basically taken the position that Professor Anton has taken, because that is it is based, like I said, in that Western liberal individualistic tradition that forms most of our law. You know, you cannot say that.
Oh, this perverting everything into some sort of Western traditional thing. What is your argument? That somehow we're pro choice, and that means that somehow you're against fetuses, or that you're selfish? No, I don't think so. It means that you're sort of rational. If you figured out that, you know, you've eaten things more sentient than a fucking fetus.
Something like life is an imposition, when basically in order to feel like something is an imposition or something is harming.
Oh, to feel like it. So it can be articulated as a statement of fact. I mean, you can know the difference between an imposition and a gift. You can define them. You can put the criteria of what the two things look like. And they're not going to look the fucking same. So you don't need to ask somebody whether they've been imposed upon. You can tell whether it's an imposition based on the action of the person doing the imposing and what they're taking to the table. So it's not only about what the receiver gets, it's about what the dice roller knows is going to be the fucking inevitable consequence.
You have to have a life in the first place, right? That is the condition that must exist in order for pain to exist. It comes first. The pain didn't come before the choice of either experiencing pain or not experiencing.
The risk exists before you pull the lever. Okay, I mean, I could have a built nuclear power plant. Okay, it's not turned on, so it's not officially a nuclear power plant. But we know when I pull the lever, there's a risk that it's not going to work, that it's going to break, that it's going to irradiate people. So why play this game? We know the risk of producing babies. We know what they're going to turn out to be. We know what the demographic, probabilistic end result will fucking goddamn be. Alright? It's not an unknown quantity. It's a very factually known quantity.
So from that perspective, I'm all with Professor Anton. But the thing is, I've got a nuanced enough understanding about, you know...
Oh, well, first, you don't even know what the word antinatalism means. So I don't think it's nuanced enough.
How plucked up out of the air, out of nowhere, Western individualism really is.
Oh, here we go. Third time now. Third time with this Western individualism. You got a lot of selfish individual bastard assholes in the East, so this is just a pile of shit. I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that they were ruled by dictatorships in most cases, show me the Eastern democracy or the anywhere democracy that's doing something so much more socially progressive.
To say, like, well, great. If I took on to rights-based theory, this would make a hell of a lot of sense to me. But I really don't. I don't even believe in the concept of a right. I believe in the concept that everybody has the right to anything.
Oh, see, now that makes a lot of sense. I don't believe in the concept of rights, and then you just say, I believe the concept that people have rights to everything. Well, you've got it wrong, because there is no rights. There is responsibilities. Responsibilities, it's a real, that's the words on the paper. The white space is the rights. So once you've done the responsibility thing, once you've fulfilled your responsibilities, which is to be aware of the risks of your behavior, to have some sort of contingency plan if something goes wrong, these are all things that are called responsibilities to your to the other sentients. You don't have a right to treat them like you wouldn't want to be treated. If you don't want to be born in Indonesia, you better not be raising your hand saying it's a good idea for people in Indonesia to having babies. I mean, so it's just a pile of shit, this hypocrisy. And the point still remains is that that's the game. The game isn't your fucking rights. The game is your fucking responsibilities. And how do you pay somebody back? Do you always have this out where you get to say bankrupt? I'm bankrupt. I can't fix it. Okay, I had a kid. He's retarded. Tough shit. That's it. That's all you got.
There's no standard. You know, we're a floating ball of fucking material in the universe, flying at whoever knows which speed.
Yeah, try to confuse us all again, like somehow that's relevant to anything. We know where we came from, okay? It's a reproducing piece of chemistry. All right, it's not a mystery. We understand the whole dynamic of evolution, exactly why it would do what it did. It all conforms to some sort of logical confinement. It doesn't escape our understanding that it wasn't created by a god or intelligence or even a fucking platypus. It was a circumstantial event that took place on this planet in this universe at this time 4 billion years ago. And that's all it is. It doesn't have any substantial or integral meaning to anything else in the universe. It's just one piece of chemistry on this planet. And we can know that much. And that's all we need to know. We don't need to know how fast we're moving relative to any dead point in space.
Because speed is... We don't even know how fast we're going, because we don't even have a stable point in the universe to tell... to measure ourselves against. So that's all we are. It's matter. Matter in motion. And... any kind of morality is always going to be relative to some kind of physiological process that's going on in whatever organism you want to talk about, or whatever individual within that group of species or population within the species that you want to talk about.
Right, so the truth is what you feel, not what you think. The truth isn't logic, the truth is feelings. I mean, this is just the same old bullshit. The subjectivist crap. If I don't feel it, it's not the truth. I mean, this is just stupid and idiotic. Logic dictates the truth. Logic dictates our circumstance. And we can logically construct why sentience has significance. We can also logically construct why nature used it in evolution. And we can logically understand that it doesn't serve any innate purpose. And that it basically functions on this idea of creating a mess and then cleaning it up. That there is no real mission. The mission is always climbing a stupid fake mountain of nothing. It's fake cheese we're chasing. The accomplishment is empty, and the suffering and the loss and the dissatisfaction is real. So it's all pain, no gain.
So, I mean, this suffering business that Gary talks so much about it is very, first of all, I'm going to say, species-centric, organic-centric, but definitely.
Oh yeah, that's just such a joke. You know, I mean, there's absolutely nothing species-centric about my perception of suffering as I have extended it to anything reasonably definable as sentient. So that's stupid. You're telling me that some other organism, if it became intelligent, it wouldn't have any appreciation for suffering? I mean, like if Tyrannosauruses went through 12 years of high school, they couldn't figure out the golden rule. I mean, what? It's not that complicated. That it sucks to have somebody stick a match in between your three toes and catch your foot on fire. They couldn't figure that out. Oh, I think they could.
Definitely not anthropocentric, because this claim he makes about life being overwhelmingly about suffering. Well,
no, what I'm saying is that all the little good parts, the satisfactions of your addictions, are empty. They have no lasting, real value, and the suffering has real value. So yeah, in the real, when you really add it up, the suffering has meaning. The chase has no meaning.
you could kind of make that argument from the context of Western societies. Maybe you look at ghetto kids, or the underprivileged, or this gap that exists between the poor and the rich. Yeah, maybe on mass, there's more suffering, and however you want to define it from these subjects.
Well, maybe there's less because there's less intelligence, so there's more bliss of ignorance. There's more laughing and drinking and fornicating and pleasure seeking because of the ignorance.
Perspectives, the people in the West, they have everything, but they're depressed anyway. So, that's suffering. Okay, great. You can maybe define it that way. In a worldwide perspective, probably a better argument. Yeah, there's people dying of typhoid, malaria, whatever, what have you, starving, being killed in genocides. That too is a good argument for this perspective that everything sucks, right? And definitely in the animal kingdom, with insects by the billions dying, I don't know, every second, bacteria, whatever.
It's sort of an important distinction, so you have to be a little careful with that one. Bacteria don't have brains, so they really can't do this I feel thing.
Yes. It's mostly dying. That gets into questions of, do you need a sensory system to feel pain, and can we...
No, that isn't even, that really can't be a question. It really can't be a question. Do you need a sensory system to feel? Whether it's pain or not. To feel anything, do you need the system? Yeah, I think you do. I mean, this can't be something you people are going to debate. It's just too stupid. It's too ludicrous. It's too fucking insipid. Even a fucking Tyrannosaurus that didn't go to high school would know the right answer to that question.
Call something like an insect or a bacteria dying suffering. I don't know. Gets into questions of that.
No, it doesn't get into any questions at all. Like, it just gets into the same bullshit fields of overread nonsense talkers on the internet.
The thing is, though, when you come to this anthropocentric perspective, which is basically what antinatalism is about, it's a debate about a government policy. Should we or should we not restrict?
Well, that's not the first debate. The first debate is, can you give me one fucking paragraph justifying your perpetrating a biological experiment? Give me your Frankenstein proposal. I'm going to basically wake the dead person and animate him into existence. All I'm saying is, give me a mission statement. One fucking paragraph even. Alright, so, no, this has lots of levels to it. And maybe at some point it would have to come to some sort of legislation and blah, 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 and all that bullshit. But what it is right now is just a conversation, and just, yeah, let's hear some sort of, if this idea is just so outrageous and so diminishable, then why can't you fuckers write one fucking paragraph explaining what you attempt to accomplish by producing a human being?
Production, at the government level. I mean, you're talking about this debate from that level, which is where it's important. I don't know if I do agree that life is an imposition, because I do see a lot of happy people, and I do see a lot of...
Yeah, well, again, so if the roller coaster only kills 50% of the kids, it's okay. Or if it's 60%, or is it 70%? What's the number? How dysfunctional does it have to be before it concerns you? And until you're willing to ride on it, that would be the other question. All right, if there was a 1 in 10 chance that you got into your car and you were going to die, would you get in your car? I don't think so.
Potential with things like technology and society for progressing. It's a very stable thing. So, I really don't know where I'd side. I guess it's really, at this point, when we're as advanced as we are,
yeah, we're really advanced. We got people who can't even figure out how to use a condom. That's how advanced they are. Yeah, we're really advanced. Jeez, a mother doesn't report her kid missing for 31 days. That's okay.
For human beings at this level that we are now, we are knowledgeable about our own moods, our own mind states, and we definitely have the power to take hold of that and change things around. We have the power to put ourselves into worlds of delusion that make things okay.
Yeah, super. Yeah, that's a great plan. We have the power to lie to ourselves. Well, no, I think we had that power for a long time. People have been lying to themselves for a long time.
We have the power to forget, especially a smart person. So I don't even know if this stuff...
I think it works the other way around, sorry. No, I think the smarter you are, the more you don't want to live a lie. The more you don't want to be one of those imbeciles, those retards, living a fake life in a fake world.
Thing is really a good excuse for not wanting to introduce new people to this world, if the conditions are there for it to happen, if we have the resources and a sustainable society. I don't think there's any reason not to restrict.
Not to restrict. That'd be interesting.
People from entering this world. People are...
No reason not to restrict. So I guess you didn't say it the way you intended to. But again, so, I mean, are you going to write a good apology letter to the victims? I mean, there will be victims. There will be people who will not appreciate having been woken from their dead state, their non-existent state, thrown into a shitty world of mediocrity and balloon-chasing imbecility. And they're going to say, well, how do I get a refund? And so, as a lawyer, maybe you could explain the process.
Responsible. People have the ability to take hold and take grasp of their own emotions and direct it in a new way. I'm smart enough with my own emotions to know that if...
That's called just being clever or scheming or conniving. Yeah, those are words they probably didn't teach in law school. But that's all you're talking here. So you'll scheme your way out of the truth and live a lie and call that being an accomplished human. No, I don't think so.
I'm going to cry every time I watch a Woody Allen movie. It depresses me. Or, every time I read Jean-Paul Sartre, I'm going to stop reading Jean-Paul Sartre, for fear of...
Yeah, right. And just take your happy pills and, read... let's see, it wouldn't be 1984, it would be 4,891. Yeah. Everything turns out okay in that book.
Of suicide for fear of being a depressed individual. And these kind of decisions direct where I go. I'm definitely my own choices. You know, I am constantly choosing where I go emotionally.
Yeah, well, whatever. This isn't about your lifestyle shit. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't make videos about what I had for dinner tonight. Okay? And, like, I found this trick. You know, you freeze out applesauce. It's pretty good. Frozen applesauce. Yeah, it's not as bad as you would think. You know, it's really not about your stupid lifestyle choices. It's about how you, loosen the elastic on my pants and it makes me feel a lot better. I mean, that's not exactly what we're doing here. So if you want to do some videos about how to feel good, go ahead. But don't pretend you're being a philosopher. All right? Anybody can make videos about how to feel good, how to be a delusional imbecile. I mean, I can just play scenes from Pinocchio and I can just tell everybody, let's all just wish upon a star. Everybody sing along with Jiminy Cricket. I forget the words, but you know, when you wish upon a star, something might happen and you won't be who you are. Blah, 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 blah. And you get a little tear in your eyes, say, oh, everything's going to be okay. Yay! Happily ever after is there to be taken. We just have to grab it by lying to ourselves. Fuck you.
And, you know, if someone like Gary has a problem with that, just turn off, man.
That's right. I have a problem with you disguising it as fucking intelligence or philosophy. All you're talking is fucking juvenile, you know, sexual positions or something. I don't need your fucking advice on how to be a delusional happy-pappy asshole. What I need is some sort of constructive argumentation explaining why, well, I don't even want to get into what, you know, a how-to on how to get people to give a fuck about the truth. That might be a how-to book that matters, but a how-to delude yourself, who the fuck sees any value in that? We need more delusional assholes on planet Earth. Like, we already, like 99.99999% of human beings already aren't delusional enough. They need more delusion. They need mega delusion. Fuck you.
Turn off. It's like the television. Turn off that fucking movie if you don't like it. Turn off this thought process. Because it's definitely not an inevitability. And if you think that the conceptual system that you have going on is any less of a delusion than anything else...
Oh, sorry. I know it's a fact that if I get somebody not to eat meat, that it's going to reduce the pressure to enslave and brutalize animals. I know for a fact if I get somebody not to have a kid, I've reduced the risk of that kid suffering. I mean, these are just practical facts, asshole. So again, I'm not seeking your fucking advice on how to feel better about my stupid life. No, I don't want, if you want to give me advice on how to plug up more vaginas, all right? How to make uterus cement. Yeah, that's what I need. I need a recipe for uterus cement. Otherwise, fuck you and your dime school, overread, Pollyanna, Miss Prissy bullshit philosophy.
That anybody else ever thinks, then I'm sorry, friend, but I'll have to disagree.
Yeah, the three pigs told me that everything is gonna be alright. They told me and guaranteed it and such.
We are not even built with the right equipment to think logically about.
Oh yeah, right. That's how we flew to the moon, because we can't think logically. We built the Golden Gate Bridge because we can't think logically. We did the Hoover Dam because we can't think logically. Fuck you.
The universe. We are so subjected to the core of the most minute gray matter we've got clicking in our brain. So if you think you have a grasp on anything resembling truth, man.
Oh, sorry. Again, this is just like the platitudes of defeatism. Oh yeah, we have billions of neurons, but we can't figure out evolution. We can't figure out what DNA. We can't figure out consequences of that. We can't figure out that we have addiction-motivated psychology. driven by these basic desires, and that we have this ego thing because we grew up in a social context where ego was sort of important because it establishes the alpha thing, which, you know, is also another competition within a competition within a competition within a competition. And that's how DNA gets into the future, is by being incredibly competitive. No, we can't figure any of that out. We don't have a brain capable of doing that. Fuck you.
Give me 1 billion years to show you how wrong you are, and how manipulative I could be with a neurological system given the right scientific knowledge and the right equipment, the right technology.
Oh yeah, so you could undo evolution, you could undo water being wet, and you could undo whatever, Einstein's theories, and you can undo everything. Fuck you.
And enough time to play around with that, to show you a different kind of organism that thinks about things in an entirely new way and is probably a hell of a lot smarter than you.
Oh, whatever. Smarter how? Smarter how? You mean it schemes better? You mean it has more strategies to make its king survive and all the pawns die, and maybe a bishop and a rook to be left over, and they get to say, I won, even though there's absolutely nothing accomplished on the board except for a bunch of all these other pieces died, but somebody gets to say, I won, and so that's all okay. There's no evidence of the win. The win doesn't pop up like a jack-in-the-box or something. A big golden vagina doesn't pop out of the game board, okay, when the other guy's king falls. No, somebody just says, I won. I mean, that's ludicrous. That's what, you know what, you're going to get a big brain that's going to make it more than that? I'm sorry, you can get the biggest brain in the fucking universe. You can make a brain out of like 4 billion stars, and you're still not going to come up with enough brains to make tic-tac-toe anything but tic-tac-toe. There's nothing else there. There's tic-tac-toe, and that's all there fucking goddamn is. And you don't need a mega brain to figure out it's a futile, stupid game.
You or I. That's my 2 cents. Hello from Annecy. Beautiful. Climbed one of the highest mountains in Europe today. It was just c'était chouette, as we say in France.
Yeah, whatever. Whatever. I didn't think the highest mountains in Europe were in France, but whatever. Who cares? Who the fuck cares? Do I care? No, I don't care. Yeah, that's right. I don't care. So anyway, really horrible video. I didn't even watch. You have some video on subjectivism. I mean, you're obviously one of these loopy, crazy mofos who think there's something more complicated than a DNA molecule and time. You think there's something else happening in the universe. Right? You think the universe is doing this for a reason. Like this little fucking infection on the surface of planet Earth is there for a reason. And that it actually has something else to do besides basically eat its own ass. No, I'm sorry, there's nothing else to do. That's what it does. It just eats. Okay? It eats and it shits and it fucks. And that's all it fucking does. Oh. Idiots.